Что-то нет
Здорово.
его, да?
Да, пока нет. Hey, Idan, how are you? Hi there.
Wait 1 second. Yeah, hi. Can you hear
Hey.
me?
Yeah, nice to see you.
Hey guys, nice meeting you. Sorry, I had a bit of technical
Sure.
struggle.
No worries.
Hi, Idan.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Fine,
What
thank
about
you.
you?
Good, good. Everything's fine.
So let's get started then, right?
Sure.
Let me tell a couple of words who we are, why we asked for your time, and what we wanted to ask from you. Well, my name is Alex. Dmitry is my co-founder and partner. Together we do early stage startup called Flash. We
Mhm.
target US market, and what we do is we are tackling B2B payments, B2B uh, transactions, frictions, issues connected with basically payments, financing, AP, AR, all this stuff. And
So you want to do both AP and AR?
that's um, since we are super early stage, we are
Mm-hmm.
on problem discovery stage right now. Means that we interviewing a whole lot of suppliers, vendors, distributors, B2B marketplaces,
Yeah.
IT solution suppliers. So that's, to be honest, like whole different segments in order to understand where the frictions is bigger and what problems we should target, like for
Yeah.
the first. And in general, we divide financial stuff, which is buy now, pay later, financing, installments. That's first kind of idea where to go. Second thing is uh, more like making transaction happen, means that collection of APs, ARs, both together or differently, terms and this kind of stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
third part might be cross-border issues, but that's different segment. So since you are ex Melio, and since you are product executive, we, you know, super happy that we got you here for the call. And we wanted to ask you questions. How did you like, in order to get actually some insights, what is actually working on AR management, supplier management,
Mm-hmm.
as a manager? What customer segments are, what pains are there, what problems are there on their side, what kind of value did you like bring to those kind of customers, which made Melio super successful company at the end, in this segment. So we want to get some insights, either any like things, segments, pains left there, or Melio already covered everything. So that's
So Millie is definitely not the only player in this space. There are a bunch of others, and I'm actually in your specific space that you guys are is potentially targeting, like what's listed on your website, the kind of like checkout experience for suppliers as customers, right?
yeah,
And buy now pay later solution and all that. So there are definitely bigger players like checkout
Billy,
.com and the balance.
get balance right.
Very focused, like balance is very focused on that area. Checkout as well, as far as I remember. So definitely Melio is not the biggest player. Actually, at some point, Melio wanted to build checkout experience. There was like an initiative team trying to build it from the ground up, but like eventually the competition was too big for the checkout, and balance, which was discovered by Mill, like it was I think miles away. So even for a resourceful company like Melio that had a lot of funds at that point, it was a bit of a too big lift, to be honest, and decided to bail that direction. Um, but yeah, definitely, you guys probably have all the context now. Just one question, by the way.
Sure.
So, what market did you plan targeting? Like, I think you mentioned, Dimitri, in your message, you mentioned, I don't know if you said that you're based on Turkey or you're targeting Turkey
That
suppliers.
Yeah, that's the right question. Actually, I had to tell about at the start. We're targeting US market. We're based on Turkey, and we're about to move to US pretty
Okay.
soon. We're waiting for like feedback from few accelerators that there isn't. Uh, and That's basically US.
I
That
think
mi-
you're just based on Turkey, but you're not
Yeah.
building for
No.
only for Turkish suppliers. You're basically targeting US, if I
US.
understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And that might be some cross-border issue. So like connecting US with some other countries. If we go to US to cross-border, problems. But
Yeah.
now since it's not defined yet, we want to like exclude some niches and focus. So the first question would be, well, may I like switch to questions?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Could you please like give your idea how Melio actually came up to AP, AR, all these payments issues? Was it like entire genuine idea to do that, or it was like evolved from one vision to what Melio is right now?
Well, it started with AP, and even to this point, AP is the main track. Do have, and this is something that I started like personally from the ground up, all the supplier side. So we do have a very big track of supplier product that makes a pretty big chunk of Melio's revenue. But it's important to understand that Melio is an AP first platform. So Melio started from AP solution, how they exactly initiated it. So the story that they tell in a lot of, like, I can share it with you because they tell in a lot of podcasts and everything everywhere that Matan is the CEO is interviewing. So basically, they initiated like their own very small accounting firms, sorry, for to help kind of brick and mortar stores, small businesses, really focusing on small businesses in the US, and helping them out with their finances to understand their needs. So they actually started a business like that with someone based on the US doing everything operational, everything manually, whatever needed, just to understand the needs and understand the pain points better. And that's where they started. And then once they got better notion of what it means and what are the big pain points, so basically they built the AP platform, which allows you in very general, like what it allowed you is to disconnect between how you as a payer, as a payer, as a small business who wants to pay their suppliers, how you want to pay, and like the terms that you need, and the payment method that you want to choose, and when exactly you want to pay, and all that allow you to manage that very easily, to schedule payments so you don't miss on your payments and anything on that, but anything like that. But you don't have to pay too early, right? Like, because I have an invoice and my invoice says that I need to pay in 30 days. I don't want to pay now, but I want to take that out of my list right now. So it allowed you to do that payment scheduling and all that, and split it from how their supplier eventually gets the payment. So if my supplier prefers to get checks, they can still get checks. And Melio will make sure that your payment is paid however you want, whether that would be ACH or credit card, move it to kind of like an FBO, and from that FBO, write a check directly to the supplier, for example. So that's like the very basic solution that Emil came up with. And from that, they build more direction. And of course, at some point, we understand there's a lot of potential on the supplier side. There's a lot of potential with building a network effect this way, because suppliers get payments from Melio payors. They get a check, but there's a lot of potential with converting them to something that gives them better for service and answers their own needs, and etc. So this is how the supplier side developed. So kind of like a few different directions. One, in terms of like whether you're just a random supplier that gets a payment from Melio payors, so you can say, hey, I want, you know what, don't want this payment on check. I want this payment faster. I have a notification on my email that says you're gonna receive a check. Do you want to cancel that check and get that paid right now? So you can do that. So like very responsive capabilities like that for random suppliers that are getting paid, but also full supply product, like a get paid solution that you can find a lot like that. Now,
Sure.
to be honest, Melio's solution is not unique. Like they're all not the only platform that does that. I think in the set of functionality, it's eventually very similar to what Build.com is servicing, which is likely also more advanced in terms of like the capabilities. It's much more deep, but it's a very heavy platform, and it's not very focused or optimized for smaller businesses, which Melio does. Okay, and then there are other differences, but like I would say overall, it's the same set of capabilities. It's very similar, like in terms of that, and there are other platforms as well in the market, of course, but Build.com is definitely the biggest.
Yeah, I see. Well, absolutely makes sense. Thanks a lot for details. Well, if we talk about like customer segments, I mean, does Melio has some, perfect customer profile, or it covers, just some size of business in any industry? Does it focus on some specific either like company customer size or industry? So what kind of customer segments it works with and targets?
So in reality, mostly SMBs.
SMBs?
Like the smaller side, and SMB, I know there's a large definition of SMBs, but I
Yeah.
would even say like from sole props to like small, like very small or small businesses up to maybe like 50 employees. That will probably be what the product is idealized for in terms of like its behavior and the set of functionality and all that. It's likely less optimized for enterprise.
Yeah, well, here's the thing actually. We see like companies, you told that like a lot of companies target this AP problems, and we found like not all of them, but the whole list of these companies. Now
Yeah.
we go to potential, small and medium business customers of those services, and we start like doing customer discovery interviews and asking, hey, how do you manage your APs? They say, just like, spreadsheet, ledger, they provide screenshots and screen recordings. Here's my
Right.
list. Here's my invoice numbers. That's how I manage it. That's how I track not to miss any payments. And that's how I manage, I don't like credit limits, and no problem here. I don't miss it. I don't have too many payments per month since I'm a small business. I have like 5, 6 payments, maybe like 10, 12 in construction, maybe like a couple of hundred or a few dozens. And they come up with the, Google spreadsheets. It's absolutely okay for me, and we just don't get it. A whole lot of solutions provide some AP services, scheduling, payment methods, converting one payment method to another one, but we don't see that particular segment which says, hey, I have a pain, please solve it. And also what we did, we say, don't you know that there is like specific solutions for that at the end of the interview? And we show Melio, a few other services. They seem that they don't even, realize that there is a specific SaaS platforms to tackle this. The question is, do you see some specific segments where AP is a problem and where customers already have a pain and look for a solution, or it doesn't depend on industry? So we just didn't meet any pain point here. Either we just don't recognize it or didn't find it yet.
So to be honest, it's like it's not very industry specific. And I think most small businesses eventually they do prefer to move. So that is new to me. I have to say I didn't work on the pay side, but I did hear a lot of insights for existing customers and prospects and potential. So and I know there were a lot of pain points around scheduling payments, about checks. Checks is by far the biggest pain point for payers typically. And in the United States, you're typically paying by checks. Like the banking system is very diverse. It's very hard to do a wire transaction or like to your supplier, and typically my supplier would not be very hesitant to share their ACH details with me, because those are kind of secret, and like they're sensitive information. Sometimes I will share it with like the more the customers that I have a better relationship with. Sometimes I would not share it at all. Sometimes, like in a very niche case, I would use virtual accounts and stuff like that to solve that issue of privacy. But anyway, in the vast majority of cases, that's actually still is the biggest competitor of Melio and Bill.com and all the others is checks. Okay. But checks are a pain point for payors typically. So on both because you need to write and send them, and it's very manual. And you need to track them. You need to see if the other side really executed those those checks. They really handed it over to their banks and got it deposited. So, and sometimes the deposit is too late. For example, I need to manage my cash flow as a small business. I'm very sensitive typically to my cash flow. Maybe it's more common. I don't know what kind of businesses you talk to. So maybe like more of old school brick and mortar stores, places like that, they will be more sensitive to their cash flow. So they're managing it more tightly. Maybe, and I'm just suggesting, but I don't think a lot of likely maybe some startups are feeling less of that pain. So if you would speak with startup owners, maybe the pain is lesser for them. But if I'm an owner of a wine shop and I have pretty narrow edges, between my revenue and the payments that I need to pay out. So I'm very sensitive to what money is going out at which point. So I want to schedule my payments, and I want to make sure that my payments or my checks are being deposited on the right time, because sometimes maybe my vendor would decide that even though my check is for the 1st of May, they're actually depositing it on the 15th of May. And at the point of 1st of May, how I manage my workflow, I thought that everything is already cleared, right? And I set my my financial planning for the next 2 weeks or for the next month, and then boom, in 15th of May, suddenly there's another 10K amount that I did not expect because I forgot that I sent the check and it's not deposited yet. So a lot of issues like that. And I guess maybe it also depends on the amount of suppliers that you have and amount of payments that you need to make, because stores that are working typically with bunch of suppliers, and sometimes even if it's the same supplier, they have like statements, the regular statements with new orders coming in, especially like food industry and wine and liquor and stuff like that, but a lot of other industries. So that can be more painful because I have a lot more invoices to track. So if you're talking about businesses that have like 5 invoices a month, yeah, definitely that's more manageable. Okay, so I hope it answers, but these are like
absolutely. Just one thing to clarify. When we talk about like small business, which still has a lot of payables, means that, well, it has like a lot of subcontractors, I mean, vendors, suppliers. You mentioned like a liquor store, some grocery store or whatever, the one who has like vast assortment, even with a small amount of business, means that it's basically retail, right? With a lot of small suppliers to pay to. So you pay basically for what? For purchase of goods by wholesale in order to then
inventory.
Inventory to resale.
Yeah.
That's all right. That's the and could you please just give just general idea how much payables creates a problem for that kind of business? When it starts to be a problem, well, 5 it's not a problem at all. Like, okay, I just pay and that's it.
But there are still use cases where it makes sense, like for example, if you prefer to kind of like converge of all of your payments from one source, which can also be like credit cards. Sometimes smaller businesses, they utilize like the credit scores and the points that they from using credit cards, so that they might actually prefer it. And then my suppliers would typically not not be able to receive credit cards. Like it really depends, but in a lot of industries, it's not acceptable, or likely, even if I have like 5 suppliers, so likely at least like 2 or 3 of them would not accept cards. So in a service like Melio, I can decide that I want to pay card. My vendor would still get a check. Okay, so when you build a product, so always there's the pain points, but also
Yeah,
like the opportunities that you can get out of it. So we saw users that are actually using it for the opportunities, for the ability to, for example, use credit card, even if they have only very few payments a month. But yeah, but the major pain points would probably not be that painful if you are in the space of having like 5 payments a month
I see.
to either paying or yeah.
Yeah. Well, regarding this conversion payments by credit card to another payment method, we also did like discovery interviews. Probably we picked the wrong segment, since the guys who we talked to, they say no problem to pay by any bank transfer,
What
no
kind
problem.
of businesses did you guys pick to?
That basically 3 segments. First one, manufacturers. Manufacturers who sell by wholesale, the ones who sell suppliers and manufacturers. Second one is B2B marketplaces. B2B marketplaces. And third one is the companies who buy from either manufacturers or distributors and then sell to B2C. The last one was Amazon, quite a big Amazon merchant with revenue like $2 or $3 million per month. That's middle business, we would say, and electronics. So they purchase from a lot of vendor suppliers in
Yeah.
US and in Europe, and then just put it to Amazon and do their business like
I
that.
see. So it
And
sounds like big businesses that are mostly on the supplier and merchant side, right? Like if I get it
yeah,
correctly.
I mean that probably could be the reason why they didn't have such a problem, because they have financial guy, they have like accountant guy
Yeah,
who,
they have a finance team that is managing their payables, so they would
yeah,
mention you can speak with the finance team, but the finance team probably does it like they already have a process around everything.
yeah,
Where the problem gets bigger, I think, for the payor side is when it takes a lot of effort. Like think about a shop owner, and they're likely like maybe I have like 2 employees that are working in my store and helping with sales and helping with organize a little bit of the inventory, and I have an external accountant, but most of the stuff I need to do on my own. I don't have time for it, right?
yeah,
So I don't have time to track all the checks and write all the checks and see what was deposited and what not. If I have like 50 like that every month, so that can be a lot of hassle that I want someone to help me with. So those kind of businesses I'm talking about. So smaller businesses, less on the merchant side, less of businesses that have like their own department or even a team of finance handling and all that.
yeah. Well, here's the thing. I mean, that would be cool to hear your like strategic vision on the thing I would mention. Recently, we applied to YC summer batch, which is to start soon. YC,
Sorry, you applied to what?
Y Combinator,
Oh, to
YC.
Y. Yeah,
Yeah.
YC. Okay, yeah.
So we
Sorry.
applied, and who do you think we mentioned as a competitor? That's basically Melio, all this get balance, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And since we started as more get balance like company to finance buy now pay later, that's what you see on the our like front page.
Yeah.
And 2 reasons why we didn't go there like deeper. First one is kind of didn't see like the deep problem there. And second thing is it's money issue, it's risk assessment, it's taking liquidity risk, and it's playing with money, with a huge amount of money you take from provider and then give assessing risk and trying to collect it back with the interest. So that's kind of
Right.
hard operation and the red flag for VCs as well. And second part is, okay, we don't do this finance stuff, we do operation stuff. And we look at Melio-like companies. But there is
Mm-hmm.
already already Melio at the market, and there is already
Right.
Build.com at the market. And we came up to the idea, okay, we should do this kind of thing. We should target some specific segment which has, for some reason, some specific AP/AR operations which are not covered by, general major players.
Yeah.
But we go deeper and collect this industry expertise. And we started like to look for some specific, maybe regulated niches, like liquor stores, wheat shops. There are like a whole bunch of it. Some regulated issues, or
Yeah.
some industries with like huge amount of transactions, like construction, e-commerce, or whatever. And in general, from strategic point of view, what do you think? Either any like frictions left in general market in AP/AR management where there is still like friction left, or maybe market not covered yet, or it's already covered. The competition is so big, so there's like no sense to go there, and you should either go away to the third market or still find super
Yeah.
narrow niche. What do you think?
So the biggest pain point in AER typically is reconciliation, and that is not yet solved fully. So what is, what reconciliation is? Did you tackle
In
that pain point?
in general, not specifically. If you say that would be, yeah,
So
great.
so basically, okay, so like you mentioned, payables on the payer side, right? So on the AR side, I have receivables. So I have invoices that I've sent out and inventory or services that were delivered, and now I'm waiting for payments. And once I get a payment, I need to do the reconciliation, which is basically documenting that payment, saying, yeah, that date I received a payment to this account on that type of transaction, right? On that amount, and that reconciles with the invoice that I sent out. Now, this is a very big challenge a lot of times, because first I get payments from a lot of directions. So payors typically have more control on how they pay than vendors have. Vendors, on one hand, they don't really like checks, and even when they get checks, it can be from platforms like Melio and Build.com and others, and it could be directly from their customers. And it's not always very straightforward to understand which is the customer that is on the name of that check. Sometimes, like, I have my customer listed as, I don't know, as Dmitry Dubinsky, because this is the person that I interacted with, but then I get like a Chairs Inc. On the name of the check, or the other way around, right? And I don't know how to match them. And also sometimes even the amounts don't match. So and typically suppliers are very big businesses. They receive incoming payments from a lot of sources. So you can imagine that this is a lot of maintenance to do to really do that reconciliation process. And I know that, like, this is by far the top pain point that suppliers have, and no one has solved it very good. Like, for example, in Melio, if you look at their get paid side, which we built, so you can send a payment request to your customers, right? So you can send the invoice together with the payment request. So then if the customer pays with that payment request, it automatically reconciles. Like that's the value that you get. But that depends on you sending all your invoices from Melio and not any other source. And like, there are a lot of use cases. Sometimes you hand the invoice by hand, or you send it to the delivery guy, and whatever. Like, there are a lot of cases. And also it depends on your customer actually deciding to pay on your payment request, and not just depositing money to your account and sending you a check manually or whatever, or paying through Bill.com. So even if you send that request, doesn't mean you're gonna get paid that way. Okay, but we at least solved some of the reconciliation problem this way, but no one has solved it fully. So if you can find like a bright solution on how to do that, that could be interesting. And maybe the key of doing it right is finding a specific industry where the use cases are less wide, and you can explore that. I'll give just another angle, and then I actually have to hop out. But maybe, and this is not from Yale, but just something I recently learned on. I know on travel industry, there are a lot of payments about a lot of issues around receiving payments, especially in hospitalization, because like it's a unique use case. Typically, you have like an agent that orders the rooms. They have to book the room. There are a lot of hands in that process. They have to book the room like months in advance, and they have to guarantee the payment. But eventually, that all transaction can fail because like maybe 2 days before, the person decides not to come, and they're charged only some of the amount. Like it's not necessarily the same transaction, right? So like there's a bigger difference between the invoice and the actual payment. And also you set it's typically cross-border, right? So it's different, like I'm paying on Mexican peso, and I'm paying to a hotel in the US, right? So they want to receive US dollars, and I need to lock down a rate, but the rate is also fluid, right? Like it's hard to expect how much it eventually gonna cost me because the rates change. So like there's a lot of complexity around that area. So maybe, I don't know, you can look into the travel ecosystem and understand their specific AR needs and solve like end to end with reconciliation, with race changing, with the difference in the between order and actual execution of the payment and all that. So maybe that could be interesting, just throwing it out to the air, but might worth looking into
Yeah.
it.
That's absolutely something we should explore. Well, Eden, just to figure out, you managed payments, but a lot of companies who provide AP management, they also provide AR management, and it seems that it's kind of combined. AP plus AR plus, payment methods. Here's whole pack. Maybe if I'm wrong, please correct me, but the question is, what kind of services come up with, you know, kind of bundle? So should we like provide uh, AP and AR altogether plus payment method, or it's just one service could be like,
Yeah. So I think the thing is that like the operation behind the scenes is
yep,
kind of similar for companies like for fintech companies that are doing B2B transactions. So it's kind of easy to at least tackle the other point. But I think most of those companies, I'll accept Bill.com, they're probably like doing a very comprehensive service on both sides. But most of the companies are more focused on one of the directions. And in practice, the businesses that will look for the same solution on both sides, it's not a very big cohort. So I wouldn't put that on the top of my priority list to support both for the same person. It will typically like be either I have pain points here or there. If you tackle suppliers, for example, and if you have like a platform for enterprise suppliers and how to do the reconciliation and all that, doesn't necessarily mean that I have issues. Maybe I'm using an accounting firm that does my payables for me. So that could be very typical.
I see.
So I didn't find at any point like a very big correlation between users that are getting like very active on both sides, even though we provided them. And I know for other players as well, it's the same situation.
I see. What actually made Melio such like big, such fast growing, and such at the end of the day successful company? I mean, there are like whole bunch of services who do AP, AR payments. Seems like that, but there are like few
Uh,
major leaders, and Melio is one of the leader for sure. What the secret?
So I think several stuff. Okay, so first there's also always like luck. They had a very good momentum. Like in terms of the market was in the peak of the previous market unnormality, of
Yeah,
valuations and all that. That's just to put that like the whole ecosystem of raising and all that was much easier than it is today. So we need to consider that. But I'm not saying that this is the
yeah,
root of their success, but that's one thing. Secondly, they really grew with the COVID. So a lot of businesses suddenly were less able to do everything that they used to do operationally and together as a team and in the store and all that. So suddenly they had to transition their whole business into digital, and Melio helped in that phase to do everything more digitally and reduce a little bit of the manual effort and sending checks and maybe services that are less functional, like I can't go to my bank and all of that. So Melio literally saved a lot of businesses that moved into digital in the COVID and in that whole situation. So that helped grow them. And I think from that point, they were able to close an integration, very important one with Intuit, and
I see.
that really lifted Melio both in like traffic and valuation and all that. And from there, they were able to get more partnerships. So I mean, it's less on the even on the like on the product smartness. I don't think that there was anything that was super unique and no one else has thought of, but it was just playing their cards right and strategizing very good and taking a lot of bets, like taking maybe with like early stages that where they didn't have a lot of runway. They took like a big team and developed fast and took a bet that they will succeed, and it worked.
I see. I see. Well, we also analyzed why those, fintech, B2B fintech companies skyrocketed recently. That was like at least 50% of the success was on COVID. They transformed
Yeah,
they to digital
for sure.
as a reaction to COVID. But right now, it's already seems to be done. I mean, COVID already like 4 years ago.
Right.
Do you still see some, changes to come up? Maybe I don't like OpenAI products or whatever else that could add additional boost to the industry, or it's already done and it's like kind of late to create something additional because there is like a whole bunch of companies that already covered this industry. It's
Yeah,
already
I don't.
transformed.
It's
Yep.
hard to say from the top of my head, like whether OpenAI and GPT capabilities like that can disrupt the market. I'm sure like there are opportunities to do that, like on the more manual stuff, like everything that is about like reading documents, reading invoices, matching them to the supplier. Maybe you can automate everything, right? Like maybe you don't even need the Melio interface. Maybe you can have a bot that you just send out all your invoices and they take the rest from there automatically. So that's on the one side, but you need to do it smartly, because it's people's money. So
Absolutely.
they're like you can do it very smartly, but you need to build the right experience around it to make sure that they can double check everything that is being done and make sure that everything is right. But I'm sure like generative models and things that are super sophisticated can take all of their effort and do the AP side and also on the AR side, right? Like we talked about reconciliation.
I'm
If
really
I have
sorry.
very
So,
smart
yeah, sorry for interrupting. Pardon. Well, we are to be cut off in